Hey everyone, it's Jensen here again. We've got lots going on. We've got March Madness, we've got NFL stuff, we've got hockey trades going on. International soccer is about to start up again. So we'll start with the biggest stuff going on. That's March Madness. Unfortunately, USC just didn't do well in their game against Miami. That first half that they played was just a failure of a half. It's really disappointing looking at it now that Miami has made it to the Sweet 16, knowing that USC probably could have beaten Auburn easily and could have probably, would have been favored in the next round too. It's disappointing that they couldn't have beaten Miami. You could tell they were better. I wouldn't say that they were the better team though in that game. I'd say Miami was the better team in that game, but you could tell that USC should have been the better team. I'll just say that. Some of the other stuff, St. Peter's, that's pretty crazy, knocking off Kentucky. The entire Big Ten and SEC, a little bit overrated. I think a lot of people had that East Coast bias, but not to say that my bracket is doing it's not doing well. But so of the teams that are remaining, who should be happy? Now, granted, like teams like St. Peter's are in the Sweet 16, they don't need to win another game, and they should be happy. But teams going on and have a legitimate chance to win it all. I think that the two teams I like remaining are Arizona and Gonzaga. Shocking, 2-1 seeds. But they both struggled and had to fight really hard to overcome and win their games, especially in the last round. And to me, that helps them, actually. That gets them ready to continue to go on against these tough games that are coming up. I think some of the teams that, have a more easy path, or not easy path, because the Gonzaga and Arizona should have done better than they did. But teams that have a few struggles in the early rounds can use that to build on and end up, winning in the end. The national champion always seems to have some struggle in the early rounds. So anyways, that's my March Madness. It's been good, other than it was really depressing seeing USC lose. It's just hard to watch the games again after your team loses. But whatever. So NFL, we've got quarterbacks going here, going there, going everywhere. So the big news is Deshaun Watson going to the Cleveland Browns, forcing that trade away from Houston. Houston didn't want him anymore because he didn't want them. And I know Cleveland didn't want Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield is, I'm not a big Baker Mayfield fan. I think he's, to be honest, I think he's more Johnny Manziel than a good quarterback. But Deshaun Watson, my thoughts on him. Now, I am a big believer in that most of the disciplinary action should be taken by law enforcement first, if it's outside of the football field, and then after the law enforcement does whatever they're doing, then you can go in as the NFL and do what you need to do after, which would mean that Deshaun Watson still should be eligible because he hasn't been proven guilty. They dropped any, not the civil, but the criminal, any of the criminal charges, they were dropped. So now he's just has like 22 civil cases of women that say that he was abusing them as when they were his massage therapist. So I do think he should. I don't think he should be banned. I don't know why any NFL team would want him though. That's just my opinion. If I was the owner of a team, I wouldn't want him. I would want to go somewhere else. However, Cleveland's all in to win. They said they've done their due diligence, whatever. Here's the problem with what Cleveland did. On top of, if you ignore all of the civil cases that are up against Deshaun Watson, you have to realize that he has had 2 ACL tears. He's missed all of last season just sitting out. And they guaranteed everything. And then they gave just a tiny bit of money so that if he is suspended, like, he loses nothing. That is a big gamble. As someone that is a more mobile quarterback and takes more hits, I could see it going really badly, especially after missing time here. It's hard to get back into it. I wouldn't make that. I wouldn't have done that deal. So, but we'll see what happens with Cleveland. We'll see where Baker Mayfield ends up. The other moves, we have Matt Ryan going to the Colts. I like that for Matt Ryan and the Colts. Although I do think it's more of a push. I don't think Matt Ryan is a ton better than Carson Wentz. I think he is a little bit more. I will say it is a small step up, because I think Matt Ryan has a little bit better control and isn't as volatile in the games. He's not as affected of bad things going on. He can still bounce back. So in that respect, I think he's an upgrade. As far as the skills and stuff, I don't think it's much of an upgrade anymore. Let's see, we've got, who else was Jameis Winston signing with the Saints again. We've got, Tom Brady is back out of a retirement. We've got Marcus Mariota going to the Atlanta. I'll be interested to see how he does after not starting for a couple of years. Maybe he can get it together and be good. Then that's the NFL moving forward. Just a bunch of rotating chairs of the quarterbacks. So it'll be interesting, at least. The other things going on. I'll touch on the Ducks and hockey. The hockey just had their trade deadline. Ducks became sellers. There was a lot of moves made by a lot of teams. Like Seattle was sellers, the Kraken, and there's a lot of teams that made some big moves. Anaheim traded away Hampus Lindholm, Rickard Rakell, Josh Manson, and De La Soria, and got a whole bunch of assets. It'll be interesting to see what they do with them. They've got a bunch of draft picks and a couple of, prospects. I think what their plan is to use some of the picks, but to ship off some of those picks and try and get players with the more established players that have the talent to come in. But we'll see. It's a brand new direction for the club, and they are going all in on the rebuild. So it will be interesting to see. And if you can hook up some good guys with Zegras and Troy Terry, who just got his 30th goal, there could be some bright days in the future. So it hurts because, I really like Hampus Lindholm. I really like Rickard Rakell. I think they'll both do really well in Boston and Pittsburgh, respectively. But it'll be interesting to see what's going forward. Obviously, the Ducks, theoretically, they still have a chance to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs this season. They are on full rebuild. The team they are putting out on the ice, other than the first line with Sonny Milano, Trevor Zegras, Troy Terry, those guys are solid. The rest of them, Getzlaf is solid as well. I mean, they have some solid, they have some decent pieces in there still, but they're not a playoff team. All right. And then the other big news of the day, I mean, we've got international soccer coming. The U.S. needs to get, if they get one win in their last 3 games, they are in the World Cup. So that's the big thing. One win in the next 3 games for them, they will be in. That's all that matters. But the other thing, USC football practice, spring practice, starting today. And, I don't think we're going to learn a lot in spring practice. I think the roster is still shifting a whole lot. I think that, Lincoln Riley said he still expects to get a lot more transfers in after the spring, after spring practice. So the team is still going to change a little bit. But what I think we can see is the excitement and what is building here. ESPN is going to have their A group with Kirk Herbstreit in there to broadcast the USC spring game. I mean, all of a sudden, USC football is big again, and I like it. I like it a lot. I mean, are they going to be great? I don't know, but they're moving in a positive direction, and they don't have the weight just dragging them down into mediocrity. So I do think that there's a lot to be excited about. Funny, it looked like Caleb Williams when he was running on. He ran past the sword going towards the practice field and didn't know where the practice field was, had to be directed over to it. So funny thing, it's going to be a lot of new people. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they turn things around and flip things around. And I think those are the main things I wanted to talk about this week. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. NBA is coming close to an end. NHL their season is, April is when the playoffs start. So we're almost there. So should be fun. Anyways, that's all for today. Have it so good.